Thanks for bringing me in. Thanks for pushing me to do a talk on something I'm not usually talking about. I usually talk about sexual ethics and my sexual ethics curriculum. But in that curriculum, there are 2 lessons that are on sexting and pornography, and I wanted to update them. And so I'm grateful for getting that little push to take a look at them and to think about how I want to convey this information after I convey it to you, to 8th, 9th, and 10th graders in my sexual ethics curriculum. So the risk is different for different kids, but I'm not talking about the risk of sexting so much. It's the risk of having a problem sexting experience at all. And a problem sexting experience might just be heartache, not even bullying. And that has to do with the maturity level of your kid and how much sexual interest they have, whether they have friendship group protection, which I think if you're trying to organize anything, that's going to be helpful in relation to sexting or problems like that or bullying in a school. The way to work with kids is not to say don't, but to say if something happens, who's going to be the bystander who steps in, who's going to be the support, who's going to say this is not okay. So teaching kids to be upstanding friends for each other. The level at which they discuss their problems with you or another adult is crucial to whether or not they're going to have a problem sexting. The research shows that kids who discuss distressing things with their parents get over it faster, or it doesn't have as long-term effects if they have a distressing event like that. And that those parents who don't get really anxious and bent out of shape by distressing events are the ones that will get more information about that distressing event, but you know that already. How obedient a child is and how desperate to be loved a child is or to be accepted by a peer group will factor into whether or not they're going to have a problem sexting experience. So this is what JAMA's advice is about how parents should deal with sexting. You should have hold your child's hand while you have the hard part, if they'll let you. You should start early. You should discuss the risks and possible legal consequences. You should also say it's not okay to pressure someone, and then check in with them regularly. That's pretty much a risk prevention focus. And so my advice is, like theirs, start discussions about sexting early, but do this in an overall context of what you want for your child in terms of a healthy sexual relationship. And do this within a context of an overall discussion of what bullying is, and not only how they can protect themselves, but how they can protect other people. You can discuss with them the ethics of privacy, discuss relationships and trust. And I think very importantly, you need to start deconstructing images with your kids from a very young age, maybe even as young as like 4 or 5, because they're seeing commercials and they're being taught what's normal and what's normative about relationships and about sexual relationships. I mean, I grew up with Pepe Le Pew. You're all too young for that. You know Pepe Le Pew? He was a guy, the little skunk who was trying to rape somebody throughout the whole cartoon, right? But talk to them about the images that are being created by the pop stars they like, by their friends on Instagram, and how they're creating their own image and for what purpose. And within that framework of you're wanting them to be authentic and real, but they're living in a world where the visual is increasingly important. And then, like with JAMA, end it with an invitation to keep the discussion open.